Hello, my name is Alan.
And I'm Albert.
We are your co-hosts, and this is Vessel, an actual play RPG podcast using the Genesis system by Fantasy Flight Games.
This is a co-GM series. That means we both have characters and we both have influence on the world around us.
There is some conversational swearing, and if you're uncomfortable with this, then this may not be the podcast for you.
And do not turn off your computer while you are inside of it.
I can't remember what we last did. We met with Patricia.
This is another Shadowjack that works with Oliver. Her Shadowjack handle was Baron,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
It's kind of funny because her last name is Barrow.
Yeah.
I just gave her the nickname Baron because that kind of sounded similar to Barrow. So I was like, okay, sure. And after I did that, and then I was like, wait, I made an accidental League reference, so.
Kind of want to start with Patricia talking to Oracle. You can do that if you want. Up to you.
I think that ordinarily I come up with like a scene opening that I think it doesn't really have to do with the characters. It's more what has to do with the city.
You can go ahead and do that.
I don't know. I haven't been able to think of one. So like, I think my hand is one off to you.
I know I said earlier that I was going to do it, but I've just been so busy, so I'm just kind of like.
Okay.
What to do with the city?
But I suppose that the scene would open up with Denton driving the airspeeder back to to and from his place.
Mm-hmm.
He would probably be driving throughout the city, and it would probably start off with a shot over Sagan, where our office is, and Sagan itself is on the surface of Vessel. The shot is inside the dome, looking over the city, and the city itself is all downtown-looking type buildings. A lot of it's masonry, a lot of it's like stone, but there's like concrete structures as well. There's a tram in the distance that looks like an electro line, and then there's a lot of vehicles that are flying to and fro. You can see one massive pillar in the background. It's a solid white pillar, and there's spotlights that are shining on it. And an astute eye would be able to make out a religious insignia on that pillar.
Which one is it?
It is the inverted. It's the seven-pointed spiral. Yeah, it looks
it's a seven-pointed star.
Yeah, it's a seven-pointed star, and in the center there is a a smaller star. Your character would know this just innately. There are 7 pillars that actually hold up the dome of Vessel. They're massive support pillars. The central one being the sanctuary pillar that goes from the center and it stands straight up and it goes all the way down to all the accessible levels of Vessel. And it's not common knowledge, but a lot of people would know that the sanctuary pillar goes from 2 miles high, where the dome starts, all the way down to about 30 miles deep. And the bottommost levels are dedicated to infrastructure support, where it accesses the
geothermal.
The geothermal part of the city. And not all of this is habitable. It's considered sacred by the church, so not many people are allowed to live on it or even near it. However, it goes so far down that parts of it are used for infrastructure support. You know, like they have a massive elevator in there and all those sort of things to help facilitate it. But so do the other pillars. Mm-hmm. The other pillars they all have infrastructure to help people move down. But there are other places to go to and fro. Interestingly, one of the skills that we have is actually city cartography.
Yeah.
Which is one thing that I think that was really cool for this setting, because it's all one city. So your ability to move from section to section covertly without being tracked, that would be that skill. What else was I doing? Yes, still continuing the scene. So you see the massive sanctuary pillar in the background, and in the foreground of the buildings that are all looking old, and it has a somewhat Chicago-esque vibe to it. with the tram and the stone buildings. And there are a lot of logos and like branding on a lot of these buildings. But as we're driving, you can see a sleek car. It's going pretty fast. And what music would be playing in this sort of shot? Probably like a real smooth type jazz. And as it's going, it has a shot of outside of the car, and then those same lights and those same signs that we saw, as we drive by, you can see them just reflect off of the sleek car. It zooms in and it has Denton, and he's driving, and the console lights are the only thing lighting up his face, and he has this kind of like look that he's just exhausted, has hints of fright, hints of worry, and like hints of like something's happening. He's sitting there, has both hands on the wheel, he's tense. Fuck! And he like hits the wheel, sighs. Chronologically, I think that would be the evening of. It's like Denton going home for the evening, and your character would probably have insisted to stay with and talk with Faith before you left.
Yeah, I also think I think Vin would actually just kind of stay in the office for the day.
Okay, for the night, you mean?
For the night, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so your character's setting up to stay in the office for the night.
Yeah. So I'm finally take the plastic cover off the couch because I intend to sleep on the couch.
Awesome.
Because he's a little paranoid right now.
Mm-hmm.
I just really want to go home.
Okay, I believe it. So what does Vint do in between when we left after the conversation with Patricia, and after Patricia went into the weird room that you had in... I like to call your place the Delta, because it makes sense. Like, it's the Delta where the rivers come together. So is that okay if I call it that? Or...
I think that's cool, yeah. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah,
okay. So in the Delta, there was a side room that apparently Faith had installed a while ago. With like, and it was hidden enough that you didn't notice it. I described the room as very Victorian, very like brightly lit white, and I imagine like give me a visual description of how her avatar looks.
It's her normal physical appearance, which I actually haven't thought that much of, but like it's a female figure wearing like a white robe, pretty large wings. There's a pretty bright glow that sort of comes off of the wings as well.
Angel motif?
Yeah.
Like, is it like flowy clothing? Is that kind of the motif? Okay.
Robes. Like just a square cloth robe.
Oh, a really simplistic one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Appearance wise for Faith, I think her avatar is really tall, but in reality she's one of those really tiny Asian girls that can eat a lot. You know exactly what I mean.
Yeah. Okay.
Like really slim, pretty short. But if you ever see them at a food court or a restaurant, they always eat a lot.
She doesn't do anything weird with her face like you do?
No.
Okay. So they've been talking in this place, and they have a tea set and everything. They're sipping tea. Did your character want to eavesdrop, or he's gonna wait for them to come out?
He's gonna wait.
Okay. In the meantime, you do follow up on that weird thing that happened to your Sentry AI that you set up in the bank, if you recall.
Yeah.
I guess your character, being paranoid, would innately just try to retrack and relook over your logs to attempt to see what they did. So from the looks of it, they tried doing a track.
So he would spend his time putting up firewalls around the network for the business, and just protecting all the computer systems, as well as trying to just hide it from the rest of the larger network around Sigan.
Okay. You want to do a craft check, or let me see the book again. Let me look at the hacking rules, because I know there are specific rules for this, and I would want to use them.
I think there are rules for making a firewall, right?
Yes, there are rules for making a firewall.
Oh, there it is.
Found it! So there's 3 examples. There's firewall, there's a sentry, then there's a gate. Well, you already have a gate, right?
Yeah, he's building a firewall.
Well, you would already have one. Are you just gonna bolster it?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you just retroactively? Can you roll me a craft check for your firewall the first time you
I
built
see
it?
it.
Like, because we already established that your character already has one. Do you want to just give it the 3, or do you want to try to make it higher when you make it?
The original firewall is probably just the base 3 strength firewall.
Okay. So you're gonna attempt to bolster that?
Yeah, so I'm gonna attempt to bolster that.
Yeah. Is there exact rules that reference bolstering, or?
There aren't rules for making them, which is really strange.
All right. So a 3 is like an average, and I'm assuming that you're gonna attempt to make it harder. I think I have to make up rules on the fly here, but it sounds like you got to succeed, and then the amount of advantages indicate what would be a good number? 2 or 3?
I think 2.
Yeah, 2. Every 2 advantages you get, bolster it by 1.
I mean, personally, I would say each additional success past the first. It's a little bit more harder and specific, and advantages can just do something else. Like, maybe the advantages is I can add on, like, another program if I get enough advantages. So, like, I have the firewall, and then if I have 2 advantages, and add a sentry to the firewall or something.
A sentry is its own security program, though.
Yeah, but it's a pretty low one. It's my computers again, 2.
We could generalize it.
What do you mean generalized?
So, you're doing the action that I'm kind of blanket terming that I am labeling security programming. You're designing either a firewall, a sentry, a gate, one of the things.
Yeah.
Every success determines the type of programs you can craft, and the additional successes determine how much ranks you can put in each one. So every advantage can be assigned to one thing. So, but I think this would be the initial building of it. So this would have been a long time ago when you first built it, and then from there we'll do a upgrade, quote unquote, action.
Okay. 2 advantages.
Wait, why is it hard?
Oh. What difficulty do you want that to be?
This was a retroactive one, so I assumed that you had done it without not under duress. So I think that an average would be fine.
Sure.
Okay.
2 successes in the threat. So 2 successes would make it a gate, right?
No, 2 successes means the number of programs you can build. So either you can make one firewall, or a firewall in a sentry, or a firewall in a gate.
Can I see what to do again?
Yeah. It starts off with the base in the text, and then the disadvantages you get to assign it to one of them. You can make 2 security programs, and you have a -1 thing to apply to any one of them. I like the way that works. Does it make sense to you? Awesome.
Yeah, so I think it would just be it'd be a gate and a sentry.
Okay, and the -1 is going to...
Oh, wow, put it on the sentry.
Okay, shall I write it down somewhere? Let me look through this so I can start building rules for modifying it.
Maybe the base difficulty is equal to the program's current strength, and each success increases it by 1.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable. Up to 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't go over 5.
Are you for real?
That's a lot of advantage, though. Got one
advantage.
I don't know what advantage would do in this scenario. I was trying to figure that out when I was reading this, but there's no good things to do with advantage if it's not like hacking and counter hacking. There's not a good section on designing programs.
Maybe you could add a black dice against the first attempt to bypass the program.
I like that. Can you mark that on your sheet as well, so that way we know? Because it might be a while until someone tries to access it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Okay. So how long do you think this action would take? You're a programmer, like you would know.
Making them would, it kind of depends. Honestly, not that long. I assume like they're kind of off-the-shelf things, and then you customize it to your system, so it's not that long.
Yeah. Well, also you're part of Placebo, and Placebo has
Would have their own resources for this, yeah. So now I'm gonna upgrade the other one. It's a lot better.
okay, and that one was the Sentry, yeah.
Yeah, so one advantage, so that's gonna be one more setback.
And then
it would improve it by 2.
So it comes up to 3. Right, and then this is the the first one was
The first one was the gate, this one's the sentry.
yeah. Okay. Right, so the gate hasn't been improved, but it's still at 3, yeah.
It's at 2.
Is that 2?
Yeah.
I thought. Oh, you assigned. Wait, I thought you gave the negative to the Sentry, not to the gate.
Yeah, the gate starts at 2.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay. And oh man, it feels kind of because you've been at this for a long time and you've done this for a while, so I'm kind of tempted to give you another one.
Sure.
I'm tempted to.
Oh.
But yeah, it makes sense because this is not your first time at the rodeo.
This is the gate. Not just 2 advantages.
Yeah, you look at your program and you're satisfied with it. You don't notice any flaws. You're confident in your abilities enough that you think that most anybody that isn't like seriously over the top can able to get through this.
Mm-hmm.
But you've seen personally stronger security programs, but you don't know how they're designed. But you're confident in how your structure is built.
Can you do anything specific with 2 advantages?
I don't know.
Can add setbacks.
You can take a maneuver. You're just sitting at the computer and then just get up and come back real quick. If it were 3, that would be a different story, but it's just 2. Because there's no advantages or disadvantages for program design. So that's why I'm a bit perplexed by how to use advantages and disadvantages in that scenario of upgrading.
Mm-hmm. Can I say that it takes twice as long? Like, if they succeed in breaking it, it takes twice as long as it otherwise would have? Usually it takes an action, but can I say that it takes 2 or something like that? It just takes twice as long?
Or, rules-wise, you could make it so that way it does, like, a data... what's it called? Essentially, it would stun them for a turn. The disorient, right?
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
I think that's appropriate for having 2 advantages.
We need to come up with a cool table, because since I have a feeling that in this game, hacking is going to be very, very common.
Yeah.
So I think that adding in a cool mechanic for it would be nice.
Does anything happen while I'm doing this? Around me?
Okay. Oh, around you. Yeah. So Faith comes out, and Patricia is right behind her, and she says that, well, now that I've explained to Patricia that she can trust you, and after talking with her, I think that it's important that we're all on the same page. From the sounds of it, it sounds like Oliver's cell had to go dark. Something happened. We're not sure what. There was no blood. It doesn't look like anyone died. It looks like it was raided. There was most definitely someone there. We don't know by who yet. However, their protocol that they set in place is that should anything happen that they need to go dark, they go dark for a week and they meet at a rendezvous point that alternates based on the day. We do know where they plan on going next, but the protocol is that they're not allowed to contact anyone for at least a week. So I guess we have to just figure out what happened, and there's a lot of pieces that are moving around and we're not seeing the whole picture. You know how much that he hates that.
Well, we still have a few leads we haven't checked in on, and I think figuring out what's going on with the Red Hellions may still be a good place to start, because I think it still might be related.
You gave her the information about the other stuff, right? Did you tell her specifically which one to gather information on? Faith's specialty was, I can't remember this.
Faith is just...
She's a personnel, right?
Yeah. She
Okay.
verifies that people are who they say they are.
Okay, you know what? Since that's her specialty, I'm going to have her do a verification on Drazor and Karutz. Also, I don't think she would have been able to dig up anything on Ripjaw either, because that's all been expunged by your character in the past. What would her skill in this be?
Oh, she would have more levels in history. Let's just say she has 2 levels in history. Her intellect is 4.
Okay, so she would have... and should I do one at a time or just together? I think one at a time makes sense. Drazor is a computer expert, so I'm going to give him like that. So it's a hard check for her, but with a 1 challenge die because he is internet savvy enough to help cover his tracks. But she has 2 proficiency dies, and she has intellect of 4, so gives her a leg up. That
Oh my god!
I think I rolled the maximum number of advantages possible.
No, that one's only 1.
Oh, okay.
You almost did.
Oh god, but no successes and 1 failure.
It's 4 advantages.
So she doesn't know anything about Drazor, aside from a couple of advantages. She probably has a whereabouts of people that know the information. Okay then, so that was her fact check on Drazor. Now next she's going to do Karutz. I think this would be just a regular hard check.
That's better.
This one's cocked.
Sure.
Okay, yeah.
Succeeds with a threat?
The number of success don't matter. It's mainly the advantages and the disadvantages in skill checks, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so 1 threat. She finds out that Karutz... You guys are in the Delta, so everything, all information's physical to you guys. She hands you a dossier. She doesn't really... This is the information that she feels that needs to stay between you and her. So she hands you a dossier, and one of it's labeled Drazor, one of it's labeled Karutz. I looked into those 2 that you talked to on the list that you gave me, and you notice that the Drazor one literally just has like 5 pieces of paper, just a small bit of information, and then the other one for Karutz is thick.
Yeah, it's a lot of paper.
There's a lot to go through. So you spending the rest of the evening, so I imagine that this happened around when we got back to the office around like 5-ish. We spent about 2 hours to set up. So right now it would be about 7. You still have a bit of work to do to complete the computer's check that you were going to do, but there is still time for you to read through what she gave you. But you'd go to sleep pretty late. But other than that, what are the next steps for you?
So the little information she has on Drazor, I'm going to see if I can at least determine like a region of the city or borough, basically, where he would live.
Okay, you look at it. I imagine your character outwardly expresses like a "that this is it" type expression when you look at the Drazor file. As you look at it, she says, "Yeah, he's a squirrely man, but I do know that he trolls around the forums often, and it's very clear that he only has 1 or 2 pseudonyms. He seems to be quite confident that he can evade anyone that comes after him, and so far, he's been right. I haven't been able to track down much, but I kind of put him on the back burner after I figured out who this Karutz was. So there's a picture of Karutz. You've seen this before, stuff you've already seen. But as you look at it, there's just pages upon pages. There's tax records. There is like a copy of a birth certificate. There is like all these things about him. And it's a lot to take in just now, but she's quite a fellow there. You be careful. If what I dug up is true, then there's a lot of moving pieces, and just watch out, right? I gotta go let the others know about what's happening, and we'll have a all hands meeting tomorrow.
Sure. I'll get it prepared.
Wait, is that something that Placebo does? Do they do like an all hands meeting in crisis situation?
Probably.
Yeah. So she says we'll have to call an all hands meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
She doesn't give you a specific time, but...
Well, I mean, it would be my job to do that.
Oh, would she?
Yeah.
Okay, in that case, she says, we'll need to call an all-hands meeting tomorrow to figure out what's going on.
I'll get the space prepared. I'll make a call tomorrow.
Right. I imagine that in the Delta, there's nothing in the room, but you, like, sit down, like, you float a little bit, like, when you sit down.
Is Patricia still in the space?
Yeah, she has this attitude about her that I think you would find slightly abrasive. I imagine that she does something that you really don't like with the wave of her hand, she like constructs this weird lounge couch. She like lays down with her feet kicked up against one of the walls, and she's just sitting there and she's waiting for Faith to finish. She has her own projection up, and around her you just see like floating like music notes and floating images and floating like script, but it's not as if it's a single picture. It's just floating and it's flying by her face. It's as if it's her train of thought rather than an actual program. Because for you, it's all like, how would your character do? Is it all screens or is it all like? Yeah. So your character works with screens because he learned on screens, and that mode of thinking is just like it's intriguing.
Do you have anything specifically in mind for Baron? Or doing an induction? It's been a while.
She kind of like lets out a soft sigh. Sadly, the Baron has declined our offer on numerous occasions, actually. But she is more than willing to work with us for the time being.
Okay, it's fine.
Obviously, she's been going through a lot. Despite her look, she is quite young. 20 is not a easy time for I think anyone.
Okay.
But for now, she's agreed to stay here. After all, you guys' office was set up as one of the safe houses that she was told to go to, so obviously Oliver trusted you. Don't know why, but especially with the secrets that we have to keep. Either way, for better or worse, she was told to stay with you guys, and I think that after all the work that Oliver's done for us, I think we should at least help him with this. Well, I guess I should be going now. A lot of things to do before tomorrow. And she starts making towards an exit. Her exit, I imagine that she kind of just reaches out a hand and like opens a door, and there's on the other side you can hear like the hitting of a haft. Like you imagine like someone with like a halberd banging their halberd against the ground, and then it announces her. Like she's going for a very like higher class Victorian for a lot of her motifs. A lot of white and a lot of, I imagine, like white and gold filigree. Is there any other things you want to add? Because I'm just designing a personality because I think it's fun.
No, I think it's good.
Okay. So she leaves, and she leaves off out of these. It's like a Victorian style door that just comes like bordered by granite columns. That's comes out of nowhere on one of the walls. She opens it, and then it closes, and then it just kind of pixelates away. Patricia is still sitting in her conjured chair, laying down, and she's still doing stuff. And occasionally she'll flick a hand, and she'll do something, and then she'll blink, and then she'll kind of like look around. But it's obvious she's not paying attention to anything in your room. She's just in her own little world. The character looks over at her. What do you do?
That's what I'm trying to find out. I mean, yeah, well, because we established that my character does a lot tonight, so I think you would just
get right to work. You're not gonna kick her out?
Well, a lot of it I think has to do outside of it.
Okay. You gonna let her stay in there?
No, you're weird. I'm just gonna like, all right, God, you're coming out too. I have to do some things to the system.
What? She takes off a spectral set of headphones.
It's time to go.
Oh, Faith, leave already?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you sure it's safe out there? I mean, I looked around your place, and it's not like this is the best, but it feels a lot safer than out there.
I need to make some changes, and
you do?
Yeah. So it's gonna be easier to do if you're not stuck in here.
All right then. She'll probably fix that, and she points at a thing at the wall, and she like puts her hand out in like a square type formation. She like reveals essentially the source code. And she like highlights a certain part, and she says that, and that gives you a blue die for that check. Yay!
It's fine. Yeah.
Adds one more advantage to that check. Okay, and then she jumps out. Yeah, you guys both leave the Delta, and as you get out, the first thing that hits you is this waft of freshly brewed coffee, and you look at the time. Patricia goes into the hallway. And you hear Cassandra's voice will greet her, and you can kind of put together that Cassandra's the only one here. She's brewed coffee, and she was waiting for you guys. She says that Denton left already, and that the downstairs safe house room was set up. She went out for food, so there's food for her, and there's also freshly brewed coffee for you. And she said that she's going to be leaving soon, but if there's anything that you need her to get on her way in tomorrow, she'll get it, since she knows you're staying here. So just kind of put together like a quick shopping list of like a couple of things. Patricia probably would ask for like a new laptop because her old one got burned. Part of her procedure for going dark is ditching old stuff and getting new stuff. So she needs to do that process. And obviously Cassandra has a budget for this. Like this is probably like an item somewhere that's like burn computers in her account management folder or something. But yeah, she nods and simply says yes. And she also lists off like an outdated PDA and like all these things. It's obvious that she's intentionally getting like off-brand stuff, things that use certain codes that no longer are valid, and she's trying to like diversify. She doesn't reference a list. It's just she rattles it off like quickly. Is there anything that your character would like to request?
No, I don't think so.
Nothing? Okay. In that case, Cassandra leaves for the evening, and then Patricia says, "Does that lead to the office?" She refers to like a Wi-Fi outlet.
Yeah.
Okay, and then she just kind of casually just zoops. Patricia's the sort of person that's more comfortable in the network than in IRL, so
yeah.
She jumps to the safe house room. It's downstairs in the garage, and it's set up to look like a bunk room, but it is smaller than it should be, and there's an entire back room that's hidden that is lined with a bulletproof lining, and it has sound buffering, and it has like a oxygen reserve and extra stuff like that.
Yeah.
Next we cut to Denton. Denton kind of gets into his apartment that we previously described before. One thing, I think this is a good opportunity to reinforce how our characters look. I'm going to describe Denton again. So Denton is a middle-aged man with a 80s style side buzz, long hair on top. And his hair is slicked back, but on his right side, behind, like right below his ear, like towards the base of his neck, there are 3 triangle-shaped plates that are on his neck. And the significance of the triangle shape is that it's a military-grade neural uplink. Most people, they just have the circular one, but the triangle shape is specifically military. And ordinarily he wears a leather type jacket, like a brown leather jacket, and it has extra wearing patches on the elbows that are quite warm. It's similar looking to a Carhartt jacket, I'm kind of imagining, with the stretchy collar and underneath that he wears a long sleeve shirt, not a t-shirt, but like a dress shirt, green military type trouser type things, cargo pants. Yeah, he wears cargo pants with combat boots on. And as he comes into his room, he hangs up his jacket, he flicks the light on, and when he does, there is a voice that says, "I was expecting you back a couple hours ago." And that is the sound of Clint, the orc friend. And he is sitting in the kitchen. This is more improv on my part. I don't really have a plan for what Clint's doing here, but if you recall, Denton went to him for information on Karoots.
Yeah.
So you can throw in anything. I've intentionally designed the plot to be open, so you can throw in other information that you want, and we'll just improv it, because I am more than willing to adapt my story to fit what you also want to do.
So what was the thing you said? Because we should get it in my voice too.
Oh.
So you can cut it down.
Yeah, about time. I was expecting you an hour ago.
There you are. You're supposed to be back a couple hours ago.
Denton flinches, and his hand is halfway to his holstered pistol. Fuck! Whew. Almost shot you. Why are you here?
Guess I should have left a note. Why is he here? I have some information for you, and I couldn't give it to you in the office. They keep a pretty good set of eyes and ears on that place at all times. So I figured this would be the best place.
Okay. Yeah. And then I put my keys in the container next to the door, and I go to the fridge, and I say, "This was so important that you had to leave the pawn shop to come here." pulls out like a glass of something, pours it into a cup, then pours it into another cup, and then pulls out like a whiskey glass. And I imagine that his kitchen, it's a studio apartment that he stays in, and he has a kitchen type thing that's just part of one wall.
Yeah.
But there's an island that's waist high, so he just pours the glass here, and then he puts the glass in front of Clint, and he pours himself, like, he doesn't even measure, he just splashes it in there quite a bit. So it wasn't important enough for you to send word and meet you at the pawn shop? Oh man, actually, I think this would be a good scene cut. So after I say that to Clint, I'm gonna jump back to what you get in the dossier.
Oh, okay.
Right. So this is a bit of information your character gets. So as Vint opens the dossier and scans through it, this is after he does all the security programming. The dossier has a regular bio on him, and essentially it outlines a story of a young man who went through the education system through a private education company. It was funded by a very wealthy and a very influential father. And as he grew, his father mysteriously was killed. How was he killed? The father. At least officially in the records.
Some sort of construction accident.
Okay. His father died in a construction accident, and after that, a lot of his father's business partners decided to axe several of his companies and its subsidiaries, leaving him with a shambles of his father's company empire. And as soon as he was able to take over, he did. Over the last 5 years, he's rebuilt his father's old empire and has put in place several new powerful companies that are currently among the top 500 companies in Vessel. And even though he is a massively influential person, he has purposely stayed out of the spotlight. He doesn't do publicity stunts, he doesn't do certain things, which is why none of us have heard of him. And he also runs several security firms where he has his information essentially just regulated. So that's why it was hard to find about him. As it keeps going, it starts digging into his father's past. And his father's past reveals a startling connection to one Ripjaw. And in the notes, Faith puts down Ripjaw, ? This is obviously the first time she's heard it in reference to anything. It's obvious that a lot of the older companies, specifically the ones that were axed by Karutz's father, which his name is Otis, O-T-O-Z, because I like to spell things weird. So his name is Otis. Specifically, the businesses that were axed were all businesses that had strong ties to the Red Hellions and the funding of the precursors to the Crimson Conclave. So it looks like Karutz's father was a very influential supporter of the Red Hellions and the movement they signified. And because of that, after he died, his business partner did the best to erase all evidence of that connection. They did a pretty damn good job, except, Faith is better. She was able to dig that up. And from the looks of it, it looks as if Karutz has no affiliation to any of those businesses, and there's nothing too suspicious about what he's doing currently. She's checked, she's double checked. She's also referenced that she handed it off to someone else within the Placebo Network to double check and go more in depth of the business part of it, because she's mainly a person checker, not really a business checker. So what would be the name in there? Oracle. She handed it off to Oracle to look more into that, and she'll get the information to you. She also does like a quick thing of like, where is he now? And it has like the last place he was seeing was leaving his office building, and in the I had the map open. I don't know why I changed the page. Yeah, it would be Ashton. Yeah, we've been there before. Same building.
Oh.
Yeah. It was where the charity was, but the whole building belongs to him.
Right, okay.
Look, from the timestamp, it says that it was about the evening before the murdering in gown. He's spotted leaving, and he has with him, like, there's a picture of him, like, from a security cam, and it has him. He is flanked by two security guards. One of them is a massive human, and the other one is an orc that has a face tattoo, but he's wearing a suit. They have the Secret Service earpiece in.
Thank you.
No, she doesn't tell you this. This is all in the document.
I mean, yeah, I still say that out loud.
That's it. After that one spotting, he goes into his car, and then that's it. There's no record of where he is after that. And the last page is just more about Ripjaw. First time I'm hearing about it. Faith wasn't around during the Eclipse phase. Faith is newer, not new, but she's been around for more than 3 years.
Okay.
But she wasn't around 7 years ago, back when placebo
Yeah.
was first instated. She has questions on this Ripjaw.
I won't say anything about it, but do you want to go back to Clint and Denton? What are you going to do with that?
We'll just jump back in. Clint is he comes over and we're both standing at the island. I pour in my liquor and I kind of offer it to him.
He takes it and he's just I got a tip off, and I know you're still looking for Karoots. I got an anonymous tip of some information that might help you. You have to go and get it though.
I take a sip. Karoots. From who? You trust it?
Yeah.
Alright. Where?
See the map. I'll go with Crace.
I mean, there's also Stigma. Over here.
No, I think I have something in mind. So
Okay.
Crace is good.
Crace is on the outside of the city.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's not that it's bad, it's just that it's on the surface.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of slum orc and outsider type town.
Apparently, there's a mail server in Crace that Karoots kept hidden. I don't know what's in it, but apparently there's something in there that might help.
What? Hold on. What do you mean? Mail center? Like
Email. I don't know myself, but apparently it's a server with some old messages. Apparently he didn't want it on a public server.
Huh. And no one else has gotten to it?
Not that I know of. My contact didn't tell me.
Alright.
They just said it would be helpful.
When we get to it now, because to be honest, there's a lot of other things, moving parts in this. There's a lot of things that came up that I don't know if we can get to that right away. Do you have someone that could retrieve it? Obviously, we would pay a fee, but
they said that you needed to do. You needed to do. Why can't they say those words?
I don't know. Kind of like that time that I said it is for 8 times in a row, and you didn't catch it, and you didn't stop me. I have that part. It's it is, and it's within a span of 4 seconds, and I'm like, what am I even doing? How am I able to say that fast?
They said that it needed to be the two of you.
I cocked my head. They know about Vint?
I don't know who you're talking about, but apparently.
Tell me about this contact of yours. You said you trust him. You know him?
Yeah.
Where did he get the information from? And essentially, I'm going to try to get him to tell me where it's coming from, even though I know that he wants to protect his side of.
Yeah, make
things.
it a coercion.
Yeah. I'm gonna give you a Jenga block to upgrade my check. What would be the difficulty? It would be his presence, right?
Yeah, what's his...
What resisted? It's vigilance, yes?
Yeah.
Can you give me a brief outline of what vigilance is again? Because I can't remember. Because I know he at least has 3 presence.
Vigilance is...
I think that he should at least have 1 challenge die because of the fact that he's a business owner.
Yeah, we could just say he has adversary.
Yeah, he has adversary.
But let me double check what exactly this thing says vigilance is. Vigilance! Your ability to be constantly aware of your surroundings, often without consciously making the effort. Characters with ranks in vigilance are more likely to spot threats in their environment, notice important clues out of the corner of their eye, and catch lies as they're being told. So yeah, I'd be vigilance.
Okay.
I don't know if that would be a rank that he would have.
Yeah, I think so.
Sure.
That's reasonable. I already have it.
Oh. I mean, do you want to give him another one because of the one for adversary?
Oh.
There's one for adversary, one for the rank.
Jesus. Okay, so
That's how adversary works, man.
He has 2 challenge die and a regular die. And
Yeah.
I only have 2 willpower and have 1 rank in coercion, so I have 2 proficiency die. So let's see how this works out for me.
This is caught.
Okay, that looks okay.
No.
To be fair, I didn't roll this one. So
Sure.
You're to blame for the failure.
Fine. You can roll it again if you want.
No, I'm fine. So that is a...
Yeah, you get one advantage.
Yep. Then other than that, it's a wash.
Yeah, he just says, I
Yeah.
can't tell you. They want to stay anonymous.
Yeah, I get it. That's why you're a good information broker. And I trust that you won't rat me out either. Either way, try to keep Ben out of your circles. Bad enough that I'm still associated with you.
He shrugs. I don't know who he is, man.
Clint is a old military buddy.
Yeah.
We both got out at the same-ish time. Essentially, Clint is just Denton's drug dealer. I don't think your character knows this, but Denton actually occasionally snorts this powder.
Huh.
It's made from like fungus, but it's essentially a shrooms. Yeah, it's called tat caps. Or wobbly wort, because it can also be distilled into like a shot, like a NyQuil type thing. And Clint obviously runs that underground pub type thing, but he also distributes drugs and stuff like that for various people. And because of that, his contact information, he also serves as a de facto informant for a lot of people. And as a PI and as a contact that Denton trusts with his life, Clint has become one of his primary informants in the undersphere.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and if Denton were to have someone close to a best friend, it would be Clint. But Denton, he wasn't raised to have the luxury of a best friend.
Yeah.
So he obviously has an emotional connection to this guy, but not in the same sense. It's more like he's like a brother in arms, if you would. Well, good. Just forget I said the name. Shouldn't you be getting back to the missus, or do you have time? And I gestured towards the TV and the whiskey.
No, I should be.
Alright. I gotta be up early anyways. Just leave the address, right? Or I imagine he already wrote it down.
Yeah.
And I hand it over. Alright.
Stay safe.
I'll try. He leaves, and then Denton kind of just like, he puts his head back and he says, "Darkness, take it." Oh, one is gonna let up. And he kind of rubs his neural interface. Kind of looks down at the note, and there's a small little baggie. And
Sure.
It's this like purplish powder. He gets it, rubs it on his gums. And then Denton kind of sits down at the couch, turns on the TV, but he doesn't. It's obvious he's not turning on the TV to watch it. He's turning it on to just it be background noise.
Yeah, it's a tap noise.
Yeah. He kind of lays down, puts his head back, kind of like thinks about it, looks at the address, looks at the drink he has, puts it down, and then just goes to a threshold in his house where he has those pull-up bar and just starts exercising with the background noise. And after that, we'll just turn into the next day.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Vessel. This podcast is voiced and edited by Alan and Albert and published by Blanket Term. If you like this episode, consider joining us on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/blanketterm. Music for this podcast included compositions Andreas' theme, Chill Wave, Furious Freak, Miami Viceroy, and Slow Jam by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0. And remember, we do not condone the use of future space drugs.